Childhood of Jesus, chapter 193, the Symbolic Children's Game. And the little child continued, "Now that I am the king, everyone must also obey me as everyone obeys a king. And so then hear my laws. Let the pits of the priests be wise, and mostly kind, rather than strict. Whoever laughs is relieved of his office and falls into disgrace. Little pit of the farmer, be active, for when you are indifferent you will have to hunger. Little pit of the father, be full of love towards your children, and raise them correctly and justly, or you will be ridiculed by them. Little pit of the mother, be frugal and filled with fear of God, so your infants will become wise. And my dear little children's pit, remain as you are, a constant teacher of the wise toward wisdom and God. Now these are the laws, and they must be followed precisely. But if anyone wants a favor from me, he must come to me for it kneeling. Go now and be active and leave me alone. And you, Cyrenius, must go with the father and the mother, because you are a child." A girl and a boy who took the part of priests now went to a somewhat elevated spot in a dignified and serious manner. Then 2 girls and a boy went their way as farmers and busied themselves quite actively on the ground, as if their work were the most important. Next, another boy and a girl, conducting themselves quite gravely, went their way and represented the father, who, to be a proper father, should also be a mother in his heart. Then the other mother went to her place, followed by her child, Cyrenius. But the mother was too shy of her child, and did not dare to speak to him and teach him wisely. She therefore turned back to the king and asked him for the grace of giving her another office. The king then referred her to the priests, who began to laugh when they saw the mother coming their way. At this the king immediately called the priests over and deposed them, because they had laughed when they should have been wise and dignified, and made farmers of them. But the farmers soon began to argue and quarrel among themselves, and the king called them and smoothed over their differences and established peace among them. Now the mother came again and wanted another office. Here the king said, "Since you represent love in its wisdom, then be the priest." Then the father came and complained that he had no wife, because the mother was a priest. And the king replied, "Then take the child and go over and take the place of the mother." And so it was done. But the priest now began to demand of the farmers that they should become more subservient to him. At this, matters soon fell into great disorder, and the king recalled them all and said, "I see that you are all at odds, so let us make a new toss." Chapter 194. The first woman's nature is rebuked. Cyrenius again tossed his marble first, and this time landed in the 9th little pit, and the children of Cyrenius declared, "Father Cyrenius, that is really moving up, from child to prime minister, and that at the first toss. If you were to toss again, you surely could get into the king's pit." But Cyrenius said, "My children, I am already satisfied with this honor, so you just go ahead and toss the marbles. See to it that you get into the children's pit quite often, for there you will find the best and most desirable place." Thereupon Sixtus quickly tossed, landed in the children's pit, and was quite happy. Then the oldest girl tossed and again landed in the second mother's pit. At this the girl complained as she had done before, saying, "Oh, so I have to be the mother again after all!" Here the little child went over, took the marble out of the pit, handed it back to the girl and said, "Here, toss again, you dissatisfied one, but see to it that you do not toss into the mother's pit again." The girl now tossed once more, landed in the same pit, and nearly wept from vexation. At this the little child again stepped over to her and asserted, "Oh, you tyrannic creature! Truly, in you the first woman's nature is revealed. What shall I do with you, O serpent's nature, O lion's paw? I shall promptly call a mouse that will really torment you, then you will no doubt become more to my liking." At this the girl quickly fell on her knees before the little child and implored amid tears, "My dearest Jesus, I beg you, just no mouse or rat, for that makes me terribly afraid. Truly I will 1,000 times rather take the part of the mother than to see a single mouse." Here the little child said, "This time I shall spare you with a mouse, but if you grumble once more, then 10 mice will come at you at once, and sniff at your feet." At this the girl was quiet as a mouse and watched quite patiently while the other children occupied all the other pits, and did not even take exception when another girl occupied the farthest pit, which otherwise always vexed her the most if a boy did not occupy it. Lastly the girl tossed, and still once more landed in the mother's pit. At this she bit her lips in secret vexation, and the little child smiled, took a little twig, dabbed all the marbles with it, and then breathed over the little pits, and instantly a lively mouse sat therein in place of the marble. When the girl beheld these little animals, she began to scream and to talk incoherently in great excitement, and ran away. Here Joseph came outside and asked, "My dear Jesus, what is the matter between you and the girl again that she screams so loudly?" The little child replied, "She is jealous, as always, so I have visited her again with a few mice." At this Joseph smiled and went after the girl to calm her, while the rest of the children peacefully continued with their game, for they saw nothing of the terrible mice. Chapter 195. A Simile of the World's Children. After a while the girl returned, and the little child promptly asked her if she wanted to join in the game again. But the girl replied, "I do want to look on, but I do not want to play, for I am easily annoyed, and then you are promptly severe. So I do not want to take part, for I am too greatly afraid of you, because you quickly call forth rats and mice." Here the little child said, "Well, why then are you so foolish and become annoyed about matters by which you have nothing to lose, whether they turn out one way or the other? Be satisfied with what your lot brings you, and no rats or mice will bother you any more. Look at me, I always toss last, and I do not grumble when, in fact, the precedence rightfully belongs to me. Why then do you grumble when you, as a girl, should really personify patience itself?" The girl replied, "How can I help that? Why then do I have such a disposition? I have not given it to myself, so I am as I am, and cannot be otherwise. And since I know that I am like that, I would rather not join in the game, for if anything annoys me, you will punish me again with mice." At this the little child turned away and remarked as if to himself, "See, the children of the world remonstrate with you and criticize your work among themselves, because they do not know you. But one more throw, and still another throw, and the children of the world will think differently of you." Thereupon the little child turned around and asked the girl, "Whom then do you blame that you are thus angry and are now dissatisfied with your lot?" Here the girl retorted, "Truly, when you, my dear Jesus, once start asking, then there is no end to it, and you then become a terribly annoying child because of that. What do I know about who is responsible that I'm like this? You yourself are a sort of little prophet, and are a wonder child that can speak with God. Ask him if you can, and he will best be able to tell you why I am like this." At this the little child stepped closer to the girl and asserted, "Girl, if you knew me, you would speak otherwise. But since you do not know me, you allow your tongue to run away with you. Just look up there to the sun. What do you suppose it is, and from whom does it get its luster?" But the girl, who had already become quite impatient, complained, "Why do you have to pick especially on me, and downright torment me with your questions? Just look, there are 7 others, but you do not ask them anything. Go over to them for a while and bother them with your eternal questioning." And the little child retorted, "Oh, girl, see, they are well and need no medicine, but you are sick in your soul. Wherefore I would indeed help you if you were not so contrary. But since you are so very contrary, it will be difficult to help you. But just remember this: if an angel from the heavens of God were given the grace to be questioned by me like you are, he would become so inflamed in his great bliss that the fire of his love would destroy the whole earth in an instant. Now leave me, for I do not care for you any more because you are so contrary and stubborn." Here the girl left and secretly wept, while Jesus as king continued to direct his playmates.